6 a.m. diesel engine rumbling. The smell of coffee mixing with dew. Karen Whitfield, pink bathrobe and fuzzy slippers, marching across the wet grass like some kind of stormtrooper, already dialing 911. My mug's still warm in my hands, and I haven't even finished my first sip, but somehow, just like that, I'm a neighborhood villain. There's a feeling you get when someone's audacity just smacks you awake. Like, is this real? She's calling the cops because I'm working on my own grandfather's truck in my own damn driveway. Karen, HOA president, self-appointed queen of Meadowbrook Estates, stands there, finger pointed like I've committed murder, not just turn a wrench. This noise ordinance violation ends now, she screeches in her phone, loud enough to wake half the town. I straighten up, grease on my hands, and just smile because these entitled HOA tyrants, they have no clue who they're dealing with. What Karen never bothered to check is, my family owned this land 30 years before her precious subdivision even existed. Officer Martinez rolls up 10 minutes later, property records pulled, and I see the confusion hit his face. Right then, I know, Karen's about to learn the difference between HOA authority and actual ownership. Would you let somebody call the cops on you in your own driveway? Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from, because you're about to see the most satisfying HOA takedown you've ever heard. Let me rewind for a second, set the scene. My name's Jake Morrison. 6 months ago, I inherited my grandpa's farmhouse, 2.3 acres smack in the middle of what's now Meadowbrook Estates. Grandpa bought this land in '62, back when it was all cornfields and cows. He raised 5 kids here, including my dad, and every summer of my life, I was tearing around that old red barn, helping in the vegetable garden, learning the difference between work and just looking busy. The house still smells like coffee and sawdust. When developers came sniffing in '89, Grandpa was no fool. He sold the development rights, but kept our 2.3 acres right there in the contract. The Morrison family land stays Morrison family land. No exceptions, no loopholes. I'm 45, fresh out of a divorce. And moving back was the best move I've made in years. My ex wanted me to sell. Said this place was holding me back. Turns out, it was the only thing keeping me from totally losing myself. Now, the neighborhood? 47 beige houses, matching lawns, matching cars, cookie cutter as it gets. Not a flower out of place. Not a car on the street past midnight. And watching over it all, Karen Whitfield, HOA president for 8 long years. 52, white BMW. Smile like she's already checking her wallet. She's called code enforcement over Christmas lights left up till January 2nd. Threatened to fine people for non-compliant mulch. I wish I was joking. At first, things were peaceful. I minded my business, helped my elderly neighbor Mrs. Chun with her groceries, tried not to ruffle any feathers. But Karen? She was just biding her time. 3 weeks back, I find a violation notice taped to my door. Unapproved vehicle repairs, excessive noise, non-conforming landscaping. $500 in fines due in 30 days. Now, I may be a small-town diesel mechanic, but I'm not an idiot. Spent my night at the county recorder's office, digging up every document tied to this property. Know what I found? Not a single Morrison signature on any HOA agreement, ever. We were grandfathered in, totally exempt. I didn't pay her bogus fine. So Karen took to the neighborhood Facebook group, talking about my rural lifestyle, tanking everyone's property values. The comments turned brutal. Folks I'd never even met, calling me selfish, inconsiderate. That's when I decided, fine, I'm going to rebuild Grandpa's '87 Chevy. Call it memorial, call it therapy, whatever. 7 a.m., well within city noise rules. I'm out there, carburetor in hand, diesel fumes and possibility in the air. I should have heard Karen coming, her slippers slapping through the grass. But I was focused. Officer Martinez, turns out, was an old high school buddy. Jake Morrison? Haven't seen you since graduation. How's your grandpa? He passed in April. Left me the farm. Martinez pulls up the records, raises his eyebrows like a curtain going up at the circus. Ma'am, he says, this property predates your HOA by 30 years. Karen's face turns all kinds of colors: red, purple, disbelief, rage. And I know, this is just the beginning. The next day, Mrs. Chun texts me, emergency HOA meeting. Karen's lost her mind. Honestly, when someone's whole identity is built around control, finding out they can't control you kind of breaks something inside them. So, I go to the meeting, partly curious, partly because I know Karen will be talking about me anyway. The community center matches the houses, bland, beige, even smells like burnt coffee and industrial cleaner. Karen's at the front, navy blazer, PowerPoint locked and loaded. Ladies and gentlemen, she says, clicking to a slide, protecting our community standards. Up pops a photo of my property, my veggie garden, unapproved agricultural activity, my work truck, commercial vehicle violation, the old barn, non-conforming structure. This individual refuses to comply with community standards, she declares, pointing at me like I'm patient zero. His property threatens everything we've built. I raise my hand. Karen, may I ask a question? Her eye twitches. This is not a discussion period. Right, but you're showing pictures of my property, making claims about violations that don't apply, calling me this individual when I'm sitting right here. Name's Jake, by the way. A few neighbors laugh. Karen's face goes crimson. Next slide. Legal action required. The board votes 4-1 to pursue every legal remedy. Mrs. Chun is the lone holdout. Afterward, I drive straight to the county recorder's office. My buddy Tommy Rodriguez, night clerk, high school friend whose bike I fixed once, pulls up the plat map. Parcel, my 2.3 acres, not subject to any covenants. Even the HOA's founding paperwork says so. Tommy scrolls through their records and stumbles on something. HOA's 2019 annual report lists total acreage at 17.3, but legal documents only give them 15. They've been collecting fees, assessing taxes, charging for land they don't own, including mine. The next morning, Karen's got a petition going door to door, clipboard, badges, the whole show. She's demanding my removal as a non-compliant resident. I watch from my kitchen as she works each house like she's running for office. By the afternoon, anonymous letters show up in every mailbox: sell and leave, or we'll make you. Mrs. Chun brings one to me, worried. Karen says you're turning this into a business. I shake my head. Mrs. Chun, I fix your lawnmower for free. This isn't a business, just me tinkering. But some folks are convinced there'll be 18-wheelers rolling through the yard any minute. So, I get serious about documentation. Install security cameras, photograph boundaries, dig out Grandpa's survey markers. But then I find the HOA's financial records. They've been paying property taxes on all 17.3 acres, passing the bill to residents, using my land to inflate fees. Karen isn't just power hungry, she might be stealing. Then comes the big one. Karen shows up at 6 a.m., city code enforcement in tow, BMW shining, perfume stronger than diesel. Dave Patterson, city inspector, looks miserable. Mr. Morrison, we've had complaints. Unpermitted structures, possible septic issues. I hand him Grandpa's 1963 permits. Dave studies them like ancient scrolls. These are grandfathered. This barn is legal. Karen fumbles. What about the septic? Dave inspects, comes back shaking his head. Everything's up to code. Someone gave me false information. Sarah Kim, property attorney, Mrs. Chen's idea, digs even deeper. Jake, she says, her office thick with law books and determination. You're not just exempt. They may have committed insurance fraud. They've been including your property in their insurance and collecting premiums for land they can't legally represent. When HOAs do that, it's collecting money under false pretenses. Karen, undeterred, launches a PR war. Fake next-door account. Emergency community meeting at the library. Channel 7 News shows up. Maria Santos reporting. Karen paints me as a threat to property values, potential environmental hazard. But her photo of my barn, taken from inside, means she trespassed. I'll pull out my folder. Let's talk real boundaries, real rights. Maria smells a story. After I present the actual documents, proof the HOA has no authority, proof they've been collecting illegal fees, the room explodes. Residents realize they've been paying for services never delivered. Apologis comin. We thought you were some squatter, Jake. Maria wants to go on record. Expose HOA overreach. Next, Karen files a police report, claims I threatened her. Detective Williams reviews the library security footage. Jake, calmly reading documents is not threatening. Meanwhile, my cameras catch Karen sneaking around my property, photographing, peering through windows at 2 a.m. Detective, isn't this harassment? Absolutely, Williams replies. Want to press charges? But then a twist. Sarah Kim calls. Karen hired a PI, Rick Donovan, to dig up dirt on me. But Rick finds nothing. Clean record. Solid reputation. Instead, he finds out Karen's got ethics violations on her real estate license and has been using HOA funds for personal expenses. Rick turns whistleblower, teams up with us. Maria Santos launches a Channel 7 investigation. Turns out, several neighbors got collection notices for fees the HOA never had the right to charge. Mrs. Chun starts a counterpetition supporting my property rights. The Facebook group turns into a battleground. Karen doubles down, confronts me at Henderson's Hardware, shrieking about my criminality. Ashley Morrison, no relation, records the meltdown. It goes viral. Meanwhile, Sarah Kim discovers the HOA's been operating illegally for 3 years. They never filed corporate paperwork. Legally, the HOA doesn't even exist anymore. That night, my kitchen turns into war room. Sarah, Mrs. Chun, Maria, Officer Martinez, legal documents stacked high. The plan, criminal charges for fraud, media exposure, dissolving the HOA. We'll have a public meeting, every record in the open, protect the innocent, nail Karen for what she's done. Mrs. Chun will educate the neighbors. Maria will get the story out, and the authorities are ready for charges. But Karen isn't done. She hires landscapers at 3 a.m. to destroy my garden, trashes my truck. Detective Williams arrests her for criminal mischief. Then the big reveal. Karen scammed a dozen other neighborhoods, pocketed $400,000 targeting elderly homeowners. Her own family falls apart. Her son Derek arrested for threatening me. Channel 7 breaks the story. At the public courthouse meeting, Karen tries to regain control, waiving evidence of my supposed crimes. But Sarah presents the real financials, fraudulent invoices, stolen money, the fake company. The prosecutor stands up, warrants in hand. Karen's world crashes down, live on TV. She's arrested, her scams exposed nationwide, her face splashed across the internet as the peak Karen meme. And there's the lesson. See, Karen thought power meant control, meant privilege without responsibility. But the law protects good people if you're willing to stand up and use it. My grandfather's original deed, the contract nobody bothered to read, saved not just our family land, but the whole community. Transparency, records, speaking up, that's how you defend yourself from bullies with titles. 6 months later, I'm on my porch, sun setting, Mrs. Chin's baking bread next door, the barn alive with laughter. The HOA's gone, replaced by a real community association, run on trust, not fear. Property values are up, my small engine repair shop is booming, and people look out for each other. My grandpa's Chevy, restored, hums in the drive. I even married Sarah, right there in the barn. Karen's doing time in West Virginia. Her old cronies in orange jumpsuits, her family scattered. The news story helped reform HOA laws in 6 states. Sometimes, standing up to one bully protects thousands. Now, Meadowbrook Estates is a neighborhood again. Kids in yards, neighbors talking over fences, no violation notices. The story's not just about me, or Karen, or even Grandpa's land. It's about what happens when regular folks say, enough. When you stand up, not out of revenge, but to protect what matters. So, let me ask you, where's the line between rules and abuse? Between order and control? What would you do if your HOA crossed it? Drop your story, your thoughts, your questions below. Let's talk about justice, about right and wrong, about how sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living free and helping the next person do the same.